And this one is about Kamala Harris. I don't know if you've seen this interview. If you didn't, don't worry. That's what I'm here for. So Kamala Harris had an interview with Joy Reid. There are some moments that I want to touch on here from this interview. I think that Kamala Harris, I've said this before, I think Kamala Harris needs to take a break from doing interviews. She does not know how to answer these questions, especially the ones about foreign policy. There are two parts here that I want to show you. So let me go ahead and get that ready. Where do you go? See, now the song is stuck in my head. Okay, I have it ready. So I'm going to go ahead and share here. I want to know. Oh, I guess that's better than having Return of the Mac stuck in my head, huh? That one was stuck in there for like a week one time. Yikes. Do not come, do not come. Yeah, I know, Lawrence. All right, here's the interview, or part of the interview that Kamala Harris had with Joy Reid. Here's the first part I want to focus on. So let's go ahead and get into that.
That really in many ways is no different than what we're familiar with here in the U.S. The Ukraine crisis is a catastrophe. It's a catastrophe we're all watching happen in real time, where people with real needs and normal lives have been completely disrupted. Some 4 million Ukrainians have been displaced from their homes because of what Russia has decided to do. Both yourself and the president were in the region recently. And when the president was there, he gave a speech in Warsaw. It was.
I just want to chime in here for a second, and then I'll get back into it. She talks about 4 million Ukrainians have been, displaced from their homes. I just want to remind everybody, including Joy Reid, you have thousands and thousands of Americans that have been displaced from their homes as well, and nobody attacked us. Where's the concern for that? Where's the concern for all the Americans that have been evicted in the past year? All the Americans that lost their homes because they lost their jobs during the pandemic, because Joe Biden cut the unemployment benefits. Where's the concern for all the Americans that have lost their homes? Because it's interesting to me how all of a sudden we can have such a great amount of empathy for people abroad going through some type of despair, but we can't seem to have that same empathy when we have people in our own countries who are going through the same thing. And no one's physically attacking us right now. This is because of economic issues. This is because of capitalism. And I don't see Joy Reid and a lot of these other famous commentators on MSNBC and CNN. I don't see them having that same concern for all the Americans that are losing their livelihood, that are losing basic necessities that they need in life in order to live and to survive. Joe Biden got rid of the child tax credit. So we have more children in poverty now. And I don't hear them talking about that. And when I see Ro Khanna go on all these different shows and brag, well, Joe Biden has done some really great things. There was the child tax credit. I'm not hearing too many people push back on Ro Khanna and say, but he took the child tax credit away. So the child poverty rate has increased in this country. So if we can care and have some type of sympathy for the kids abroad in Ukraine, why can't we have that same type of compassion and sympathy for the American children right here in the United States that have also been subjected to poverty right here at home? I'll go back into the video.
Well received by many, but he also said something that I think was received well by some, but kind of surprised others. He said that Vladimir Putin should no longer be the leader of Russia. Do you agree?
Listen, I think that you framed the point quite accurately and well, which is America's policy has been and will continue to be focused on the real issue at hand, which is one, the needs of the Ukrainian people, which we will continue to support through humanitarian assistance, through security assistance, but also ensuring that there's going to be serious consequence for Vladimir Putin and Russian aggression as it relates to Ukraine, which is why our policy from the beginning has been about ensuring that there are going to be real costs exacted against Russia in the form of severe sanctions, which we know are having a real impact and an immediate impact, not to mention the longer term impact, which is about saying there's going to be consequence and accountability when you commit the kinds of atrocities that he is committing. And I think the president has been an extraordinary leader. To your point, Joy, I've been to Poland. I was in Romania. I've been to Europe, I think, probably at least 3 times in the last 4 months. I was in Munich, Germany, where I gave a speech at the Munich Security Conference. I was in France before that, speaking with heads of state about this issue, among many other issues, but most recently about this issue. And I will tell you, in sitting down with prime ministers and presidents.
So far, she's been talking for about 1 minute. I timed it, and she still hasn't answered the question. That was a yes or no question. By the way, one of the things they do teach you when you major in broadcast journalism, not to ask people yes or no questions when you interview them. That's why a lot of times when you see me interview people, I usually end with, how do you feel about that? What does that mean to you? So I'm actually surprised she asked her a yes or no. That was a yes or no question. And the reason why they tell you not to ask closed-ended questions is because the person you're interviewing can simply just say yes or no. And there's no elaborating. So then you got to come up with another question. So I'm surprised she asked her that, but she did not answer the damn question. She's been talking for a whole minute. Let's peep this. Let's watch this. Watch this. It's been a minute. I told you. I clocked it. We're going back to 4:15. Here we go.
But he also said something that I think was received well by some, but kind of surprised others. He said that Vladimir Putin should no longer be the leader of Russia. Do you agree?
Do you agree? Yes. No. That's it. That's it. She done went all around the world talking about, she went to Poland. She's going all around. Here comes the word salad. Wait for it. Incoming, incoming.
Listen, I think that you framed the point quite accurately and well, which is America's policy has been and will continue to be focused on the real issue at hand, which is one, the needs of the Ukrainian people, which we will continue to support through humanitarian assistance, through security assistance.
They have all of this money to continue. You heard her. She said they're going to continue to support the Ukrainian people. They can't even support the American people. Where's our money? Where's our humanitarian aid? Where's our universal health care? You got all this money to send abroad and you're not even helping the people at home first. Who else does that? Who else does that? How do you not take care of your own people? But you got all this money to take care of people abroad, and she just let you know they will continue to do so. Can't even help people here. Not one damn thing. Let her go on with the word salad.
But also ensuring that there's going to be serious consequence for Vladimir Putin and Russian aggression as it relates to Ukraine, which is why our policy from the beginning has been about ensuring that there are going to be real costs exacted against Russia in the form of severe sanctions, which we know are having a real impact and an immediate impact, not to mention the longer term impact, which is about saying there's going to be consequence and accountability when you commit the kinds of atrocities that he is committing. And I think the president has been an extraordinary leader. To your point, Joy, I've been to Poland. I was in Romania. I've been to Europe, I think.
That wasn't to Joy's point. To your point, Joy, I've been to Poland. I've been to Romania. Joy didn't ask you anything about that. Joy was asking you one simple question. that the president said that he believes that Putin should be removed. Kamala's response, to your point, Joy, I've been to Poland, I've been to Romania. Nobody brought this up. No one. Don't know what's happening.
Probably at least 3 times in the last 4 months. I was in Munich, Germany, where I gave a speech at the Munich Security Conference. I was in France before that, speaking with heads of state about this issue, among many other issues, but most recently about this issue. And I will tell you, in sitting down with prime ministers and presidents, often the first thing they would say to me is thank you to the United States and this administration for bringing us together, for building the coalition, for reinvigorating the relationship between the United States and its NATO allies, reinvigorating the relationship and the importance of the relationship to the EU in terms of an issue like Ukraine, which is ultimately about one of the most important principles that we are fighting for, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity.
Well, I mean, on Putin.
Never answered the question. Not once. She went on about NATO, bringing other countries together. That was not the question that Joy is asking. Kamala Harris is incredibly bad at this. And I think they need to stop sending her on these interviews. I don't know who's coaching her, but she does not know how to answer the questions. And this isn't the first time we've seen this happen. We've seen this happen with every interview that she's had so far. So listen to what Joy says here. I'm going to fall back.
Specifically, I think that the world largely agrees, with very, very few exceptions, that what Putin has done has not only been destructive to Ukraine, he's destroying Ukraine utterly. There are places like Mariupol that are being wiped off the map, but he's destroyed his own country as well. He has made Russia into a lone nation, into a sort of North Korea. And the way that the world deals with countries like North Korea, countries like Cuba, is that they don't deal with them as normal nations as long as the dictator is in charge. Boris Johnson, the British Prime Minister, has said that sanctions should continue to be ratcheted up so long as Russian troops are in Ukraine. Should those sanctions continue as long as Vladimir Putin is the dictator of Russia?
Joy, as the interviewer, when someone doesn't answer your question, you come back and you ask the question again. And if you notice, Joy Reid did not ask that question again. This is how you push back. So you come back and you ask, but to my point, just want to get a clarity here. Do you feel that he should be removed? You ask it again. Come on. Now, she's been doing this a lot longer than me. Yes, I went to school for it. But I have to say, I really have to believe here that the reason why she did not ask that question again is because she didn't want to go hard on Kamala Harris. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if her boss told her to go easy on Kamala Harris. I would not be surprised if she was told to do that. But this is a fail here on Joy. As the interviewer, you come back and you ask that question again. I can understand if you were new with this, but she's not new. She's been doing this for a long time. She knows better. So now they've gotten to the point about sanctions. Hear what Kamala has to say about this.
Well, I'm not going to speculate, but about the future, I'm going to tell you where we are now. They are intact. And we will continue to upgrade them and make them so more severe as appropriate. And as far as we are concerned, everything is on the table.
That didn't make any sense. What Kamala said didn't make any sense. And you can tell she's not comfortable with this. She looks a little frightened there, almost like a deer in headlights. But what she said didn't make any sense. I'm going to play it for you again. Listen, she tells you she doesn't know about the future, but listen to this.
Vladimir Putin is the dictator of Russia.
Well, I'm not going to speculate, but about the future, I'm going to tell you where we are now. They are intact. And we will continue to upgrade them and make them so more severe as appropriate.
So she just told you about the future. She just told you they are intact and we will continue. So she's letting you know that they are going to continue to do this. But she said she can't speak for that doesn't make any sense. So long story short, they plan to continue to do this, continue the sanctions. And if so, they are going to increase them. Now, here's my question. For Joy Reid to ask her about the people suffering in Ukraine, about the kids, is anyone going to ask her about the people suffering in Russia that had nothing to do with this conflict at all? Just the citizens who were just living there trying to live their lives. Is anyone going to ask about though? What about the kids in Russia though, too? And I want to make this very clear. This is not me trying to be a Putin like apologist, or I am not a Russian asset as people would try to do. They'll try to smear me in any kind of way, shape, or form. It's all right. I'm used to it. But you need to look at both sides. If you care about the kids in Ukraine, why don't you care about the kids in Russia? They didn't ask to be a part of this. I'll let her go on.
And as far as we are concerned, everything is on the table in that regard, because we are seeing extreme atrocities. We are seeing maternity hospitals being bombed. We're seeing a location that was so clearly designated as being a shelter, a place of safety for children. We are seeing, to your point, millions of people being displaced, potentially permanently.
We've also seen that happen in Palestine. We've seen it happen in Yemen. We've seen it happen in Somalia. Where's that same empathy and compassion for those people? Let's not sit here and pretend like this is only happening in Ukraine, that this is only happening to the Ukrainians. Where's that? This is why they would not let people like me, my comrades at RBN, Hardlands Media. This is why they would never let us interview these political officials in DC. Because we would ask those questions. And they don't want to answer those questions. They don't want to be interviewed by. And Joy Reid isn't going to challenge her on that. And Kamala knows that. So I'll go back in.
In a war that was instigated, unprovoked, unjustified, against a whole population of people. So yeah, the sanctions are going to be severe, and they will last as long as these atrocities.
And there you go. And that just proves my point. She said the sanctions are going to be severe. So she just told you, oh, the hospitals and the poor people in Ukraine. But she doesn't seem to have that same empathy towards the people in Russia that are affected by the sanctions, that had nothing to do with this. How does Kamala Harris feel about the people in Afghanistan that are starving because of the sanctions put on them by the United States government? Does she have that same concern, that same passion for those people? Or no, because the United States government told you we're not supposed to like them. They're the enemy. And I would question who gets to decide who's an enemy or not. Because in a lot of these conflicts, in fact, most of these conflicts, there has been one common denominator, and that has been the United States. So if anything, the real enemy is us. Here we go.
And this aggression is continuing.
So no luck on getting you to weigh in on whether he should be whether he should remain.
Well, no, listen, let me be very clear. Let me be very clear. We are not into regime change.
Sure. And no. So you see how Joy said that? So no luck on getting you to respond about whether or not he should remain. Why did she say it like that? And you notice when she said it, she had a smile when she said it. Think about that for a second. Now, Kamala Harris responds and she says, well, we are not into regime. No, guys, I kid you not. Listen to this. Listen to this. And by the way, when Joy Reid was asking that question should have came directly after Kamala answered the first time. You follow up immediately after. I wouldn't have said no luck. I would have just been like, so do you agree? Yes or no? Listen to this. We are not into regime. Listen to this.
Let me be very clear. Let me be very clear. We are not into people. So yeah, the sanctions are going to be severe and they will last as long as these atrocities and this aggression is continuing.
So no luck on getting you to weigh in on whether he should remain.
Well, no, listen, let me be very clear. Let me be very clear. We are not into regime change, sure. And that is not our policy.
Yeah.
Period.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's talk about our democracy here because
we are not into regime change. Did I miss something? Let's take a look here, okay? We're not into regime change, you guys. Did you guys know that? Let's see regime change in the United States. Take a look at this. I'm going to fall to the back and I'm going to go straight to the list. I'm not even going to go through all of the articles. Let's look at the list, you guys. I can't make this up. I don't even have time to go through all of them. Pre-interventions. This is the United States. Pre-interventions, 1887. So let's try to be nice and let's just start with the 1900s. 1900s, Honduras, Cuba, Nicaragua. Let's go into the Wilson administration. Nicaragua, Mexico, Haiti. Remember when I tell you multiple times on the show how the United States has intervened in Haiti? How the United States has caused regime changes in Haiti? That's something I've talked about oftentimes. I need to go a little bit deeper into that. Let me make this a little bit larger. There we go. Dominican Republic, Costa Rica, Germany, Austria and Hungary, Russia. Let's go into World War II in the aftermath. Japan, Germany, Italy, France, Belgium, Netherlands, Philippines, Austria. Now we're going into the Cold War. South Korea, China, Greece, Costa Rica, Albania, Syria. See, we go all the way back to Syria, 1949. Let's go down to the 1950s. Burma and China, Egypt, Iran, Guatemala, Syria, Indonesia, South Vietnam, Cuba, 1960s. Who can forget the Congo? Laos, Dominican Republic, Brazil, Iraq, Indonesia, 1970s, Cambodia, Chile, Bolivia, Ethiopia, Angola, East Timor, Argentina, Afghanistan, 1979 to 1992. This is something I'm going to come out in just a second to say something here about Afghanistan because this is really important. A lot of times when people mention U.S. intervention in Afghanistan, they're starting with the 1990s. But as you can see, this is going all the way back to 1979. And I think I talked about this on the show before, how after we intervened there in the 70s and then the policies were stricter, they increased strictness policies for women. I did talk about that on the show. I think I did talk about that on the show. But that goes back to 1979. I wasn't even born. Here we go. There's more. We're not done. 1980s, Poland, Chad, Nicaragua, Grenada, Panama, Paraguay. We've been in Nicaragua a lot, huh? 1981 to 1990, post-Cold War. This is the 90s. Iraq, again, Haiti, Iraq, Haiti, Zaire. You see, we were back in Haiti again in the 90s. Now, this is during the Clinton administration. 2000s, Yugoslavia, Afghanistan again, Iraq, Kyrgyzstan. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Palestinian territories, Syria, 2010 and beyond, Libya, Syria. This is regime changes and interventions. What the hell is Kamala Harris talking about? She's the vice president of the United States. How can she even say that? How does she not know this? I honestly, at this point, I don't know if it's that she just doesn't know or she does know and she's pretending not to know. But how can you just blatantly lie? Just blatantly lie. She's Black says the U.S. tried to intervene in Cuba, but they lost. Rest in power, Castro. Eric says she's paid not to know. I'll go back into the video. I have one more part here. We do not do that. Remember what she said. Here we go.
Struggling with our democracy as well.
Yes.
As we all know, there was an insurrection, an attempted coup. I don't think there's any other way to describe it that took place last year. And as we get more information about what happened and who was behind it, we're finding out there were members of Congress who were complicit. There were United States senators. You're the president of the Senate as vice president of the United States. What do you think should be the consequences for people like Ted Cruz, people like Josh Hawley, who are now being named as we learn more about those who were actually putting together the plan to overthrow our election?
I think that what is very much at stake, I'm going to just make the connection first to the previous discussion in this one. You are absolutely spot on from my perspective that this is about our democracy and an attempt to weaken.
She's doing it again. Just answer the question. Joy doesn't need for you to repeat back to her what she said to you. She knows what she just asked you. Notice how it took her a minute there. She's like, I'm not going to play into this part because YouTube will ping me, but I wanted you to see that. And I also thought it was interesting that right after Kamala says this, that we are not into regime changes, Joy doesn't even watch it. She doesn't even push back. Watch.
It's continuing.
So no luck on getting you to weigh in on whether he should remain.
Well, no, listen, let me be very clear. Let me be very clear. We are not into regime change, and that is not our policy.
Yeah.
Period.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's talk about our democracy here because we're struggling.
Joy Reid just went on and said, absolutely. Now, Joy Reid has to know that that's a lie. Has to know that that's a lie. When the question that was presented to Kamala Harris by Joy Reid was, President Biden said that Putin should be removed. So here you have the president saying he should be removed. And then the vice president is telling you we're not into that. We don't do regime change. No, we don't do that, which is a lie. And Joy Reid didn't even push back. You push back. Well, Vice President Harris, President Biden said he wants them gone. And he's the president. And the president is the commander in chief. She still really didn't answer the question. Do you think he should be removed? Yes or no? She just goes, well, we're not into regime, changes. This is absolutely embarrassing. I don't know how much Kamala Harris knows about foreign policy, but someone needs to get her up to speed. Could you imagine her doing that interview with someone from the gray zone? How do you not know? How do you not know? That history I just laid out for you, I bet you Kamala Harris couldn't do that. I didn't even have to look it up because I already knew that the United States government has been doing that. Oh, well, I would say we're not in. So it also appears that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are not in sync with each other. And this isn't the first time that we've seen this happen. They are not on the same page. I'm going to go to some of the comments and then I'm going to go into the third story. Delthea said, I'm lost. It's a softball interview. And she not only can't hit the slow pitches, she's playing hopscotch. Well said. Well said. Ashura said, unprovoked Donbas, Azov shelling for 8 years in eastern Ukraine. This is probably one of the easiest interviews I've seen Kamala have, meaning that this is somebody here who is clearly on your side. Clearly on your side. You can't answer their questions. I live there. Says Kamala went to high school in Montreal. We own that. The rest is on y'all. All right. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. Carr says, I read she never prepares. That's terrible. Like, how do you not prepare for these? A lot of times, guys, you know, you can request to have the questions beforehand. You know, I've had people do that with me before. They want to know the questions I'm going to ask. You can request that. Super Patriot, you know it's easy because she wasn't cackling like a maniac. Right? Right?